Broadcasting around the world on the internet 24 hours a day at www.odysseytv.org. This is Odyssey Instructional Television, a program of the San Bernardino County Regional Occupational Program.
Well, hey, everybody, we're going to talk about things on this show you ought to know, like strike, spare, turkey, 300, and even bowling leagues having to do with senior leagues, kids leagues, and the like. We're going to find out about some of the history of Victor Bowl right here in the Victor Valley. And guess who I've got on this show with me? Yes, he's back. He's holding the microphone right here for me. This is Caden, 7 months old, grandson here at Victor Bowl, and he's going to be one of those avid bowlers someday, I'm sure. We're here at Victor Bowl. We're going to find out a little bit what about bowling. Are you a bowler? Do you have what it takes to strike out, to score that 300? Do you have what it takes to be on a league? Stay with us, everybody. We're here at Victor Bowl simply because you ought to know. You ready, Caden? Well, hey, everybody. Welcome back. Jim Hall, You Ought to Know, and we're here in Victorville. In fact, kind of a historic type place. I remember Victor Bowl here in Victorville a number of years ago. A little different location. We're going to talk about that. But first off, our guest today has been with Victor Bowl, 23 years now?
Yes, 23 years with Victor Bowl.
All right, let's introduce you. You are?
Peggy Varner.
And Peggy, how did you get started with Victor Bowl? What did you do? You came in and applied, you were a bowler, and said, hey, I'll work here for you. Or we need somebody. Can you work?
I was bowling, and I heard that one of the cocktail waitresses was getting ready to retire, so I figured, well, I'll apply for her job, and I did. And I got the job, figuring I would be working 3 days a week, ended up 4 days a week. From there, I ended up bartender, and then I was the bookkeeper, and now I'm the general manager, been for the last 16 years.
Well, you've seen some things happen here, some changes have taken place. Or have they? Has there been many changes at Victor Bowl over the 23 years you've been here?
At Victor Bowl here, yes. We've, basically refurbishing on the inside. In fact, we have plans right now with the city to redo our bar and get that more updated, a little less old-fashioned. And our bowlers are pretty much been stable. We're down a little this year, but our senior base, it's really good, and it's been that way for many years.
Well, let's talk about some of the history of bowling. Bowling goes back a lot of years. I mean, it's more popular than you talk about names like Dick Weber and some of the things some of us have heard, been around bowling for a long time. But you talk about people that bowl the perfect game, those 300s and so on, and those are far and few between. You have some people here locally that do that?
Yes, we have a whole section back here where they bowled. In fact, we have one gentleman, his name's Jesse Correa. I think he's had like 15 300s.
Well, that's simply amazing. Now, does the bowling alley have something that they do special if you bowl a 300?
The first time we give them a jacket, and then of course they get the gold plate up there, and then each time after that they just get a date plate. But the state and the national associations, they do give them rings or watches or whatever they choose for the first one for the season. And
well, when they do that, I imagine if he's bowled 15, I've never heard of that before, 15 perfect games, 300 games, and describe how hard it is to do that. Have you ever done that?
No, my best has been a 299, and I was just so shook up after that. I didn't even get a 600 series. I bowled two 140s after that. I mean, your nerves are just shot. But this young man, he started out in our junior pro bowling program, and he's really good.
Now, you do have leagues. We're going to talk about that. I was going to save it a little bit, but let's go right into that you mentioned it. You have leagues for the juniors, which means kids start at what age bowling?
They can start at 4, and they bowl with the bumpers. You know, if they have to throw it with 2 hands, they throw it with 2 hands. But, you know, they start out really young, and they can stay in the program until they're 21.
Well, what's entailed with that? I'm going to guess that's Saturdays.
We have one at Saturday at 9:30, and then Wednesday afternoon at 4 also. And then during the winter season, we have a high school league where 8 of the local high schools are represented, and it's a pretty good program.
So you actually have some real hard-going applications of some real competition between the schools by doing it that way.
Mm-hmm. The varsities are real competitive. The junior varsities aren't as competitive. It's more of a fun thing, and but you know, once they get into it, they start to get more competitive, and the next year they want to be on varsity.
Now you have the leagues here. You have the Children's League. You have a Senior Citizens League. You have what all types of leagues, and could companies have their own leagues?
Sure, any company that would want to put their own league. We recommend at least 8 teams. Any less than that, and it's not very competitive. But our leagues, we have women's leagues in the morning, and we have the senior leagues, and we have the mixed leagues. Most of our leagues on the mixed go to Vegas for their sweepers or Laughlin, and that they look forward to. We also have merchandise leagues where you pay a little over each week, and you can get, for like the kids, the Madagascar bowling balls, or the adults, we have the NASCAR League right now. And that way they can get merchandise, or they can get tickets to go to the NASCAR race in Fontana.
The economic times haven't been the best the past number of months. People know that. They talk about it. They talk about the gas as high as $4.65 a gallon. Thank goodness it isn't that today as we do this show. But bowling, movies, entertainment, things that take the things off of people's mind, and this is certainly one of them, still maintains that popularity and people come out.
Yeah, it can be competitive with some people, but most of the time it's a social event. You look forward to coming here on a league night and meet with all your friends and have a couple of drinks or whatever you want to do.
Now, what's available for folks out there, especially with leagues going, your winter leagues and then your summer leagues and so on? Do you still have some room for open bowlers to come out and have that good time out here?
Yeah, Fridays during the day, 9 to 5, we don't have any leagues. So it's that's our lowest rate on Fridays during the day. And then Monday, we also have a special rate because we only have a small league on Monday night. So Monday nights are available to the public, and Wednesday after 9. We also, on Saturday night, we have what we call the Neon Nights, where they can come in and they can bowl for 2.5 hours for a flat rate, and that includes their shoes. And then we have the lights, the black lights and the strobe lights and stuff, and the music playing, and a lot of the younger people enjoy it.
All right, we're going to talk more about that, some of the special bowling that goes on. I'm going to talk about that. In fact, I've got my bowling shirt on. Can you see this here today? I dressed for this. There's my logo on the back, Pirates of the Caribbean. We've got some people, some real crumb drudgery going on here. But we're going to be back. We're at Victor Bowl, and we're located at
12277 Mariposa.
Yeah, we've got people watching all over the Inland Empire, and you can come here to Victor Bowl, have a good time. We're showing you some of the scenes and what the lanes look like, simply because you ought to know. Stay with us, everybody. More yet to come. Welcome back, everybody. Jim Hall, you ought to know, at Victor Bowl here in Victorville. Peggy is with us. 23 years you've been here, Peggy. Yes. So you've worked your way up from
cocktail waitress to general manager.
General manager. What is the responsibility of a general manager here at Victor Bowl?
Oh, hire and fire.
You do a lot of that, or you got some employees that have been here forever?
Oh, I have a lot of employees been here for a long time. Yeah. I really do. Basically, you just oversee the operation, make sure, everyone's doing their job, and we get some leagues in here and groups in. And
How many people work for Victor Bowl? How many people you carry?
I have 40 people, 20 full-time and 20 part-time.
All right. So if people want information on Victor Bowl, is there a website now that they can go to for Victor Bowl?
Oh, yeah. It's www.victorbowl.com.
What's that easy? Simple.
easy.
VictorBowl.com. Why didn't I think of that? Phone number for Victor Bowl?
760-241-7396.
All right. You mentioned a couple things I got to touch on. You talked about neon bowling. What is neon bowling?
That's when we turn the lights down, we turn the black lights up, we turn the music on, and we have different colored lights. And then you just get a lane for 2.5 hours and bowl as many games as you possibly can during that time.
What kind of music are you playing?
It's usually for the younger people, but some of them like country, which is surprising.
All right. Well, there you go. You talked about Madagascar bowling. What is that?
That is a thing where you can add a little extra money each week to your prize fund, and you can get a bowling ball at the end with the Madagascar on it. They're called Visiballs, and it's a picture of the characters from the Madagascar movie.
All right. We're headed for the pro shop. I'm going to find out what it takes to bowl, what I need to know, and how to pick a ball and all that. So we're going to be back with you. Don't go away, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's head for the pro shop. And as we head in here, guess what? It's filled with bowling balls, bags, and all that sort of things. How you doing, Ed?
Good, how are you?
Let's introduce you.
Ed Hansen,
And Ed, you've been in the pro shop here how long?
for 8.5 years.
8.5 years. What do you do in the pro shop? What do I need to know?
Sell bowling equipment, shoes, balls, bags, drill the balls.
You actually drill them, or do you service people if they need service here right while they're bowling?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what types of things, what's the weirdest thing you came across or had a request to do here?
Drill a hole with all 5 holes in it. Drill a ball with all 5 holes in it.
1, 2, 3, 4, and a thumb. Are you kidding?
No.
Is somebody bowl that way?
Yes. Yes, there's a couple people here that bowl that way.
I guess that must be a technique or a comfort thing, or
More for grip, for gripping. It's a lot more of the senior bowlers do that a lot because they lose the grip the older they get, so it gives them a little bit more grip on the ball.
well, then that tends to make a little bit more sense to me. Come on down. Let's look at some of these things. Now, what have you got right here? This is, what, a Barbie ball?
It's a Barbie ball. This is a Superman ball, and we got some down there. Those are basically the kids' balls.
Okay.
They're novelty balls. Then you go anywhere from the plastic balls all the way up to high-end resin balls.
What is the normal, I remember bowling and did the league thing when I was younger and what have you, and I think I bowled with a 16-pound ball. Is that still a fairly heavy ball or a normal size?
No, that's basically heavy now. Really, a lot of the people only use 15-pound balls.
And the lightest for the kids,
Is 6 pounds.
6-pound ball.
Yeah.
Okay. And they've changed, I guess. What did they used to be made of? Bowling balls were all made usually of what?
Rubber balls, and then they went to plastic, then it went to urethane, and now they're into reactive resin.
Okay, what do I need to know if I'm ready to pick equipment and start bowling again? I've got my shirt. You can see I've got the Pirates Caribbean bowling shirt on, ready to go. Logo's in the back. I'm set there. I just don't know what to do now. What do I need to know?
First, we need to determine the weight of the ball you would like to throw, and then really after that is how advanced you want to get. You just want the beginner level, the plastic ball level, or advanced to up all the way up to the high-end reactive.
What would you recommend to me, or how would I learn what I need to actually do weight-wise now?
Weight-wise is I would have you go out there and throw some of the house balls that we have out there and find something comfortable, and then bring it into the pro shop and we can throw it on the scale and determine the weight.
Is that something I'd want to bowl a frame or two with, or bowl a game and see what the feel is? Am I going to be worn out by the 6th frame or so?
Actually, you want to bowl 2 to 3 games with the ball because that's normally a league. A league is 3 games each night. So something you can get through 2.5, 3 games with. Once it's fitted properly to your hand, the ball will actually feel a little bit lighter.
All right. What's changed with bowling equipment over the years since I've been there? I did have the partial grip with a pad to help me kind of hold the ball a little bit more up away from my hand, and it gave me a little bit better control of the ball. What's changed over the past 30 years or so?
They've just gotten more advanced in the technology, and the gloves, they have it with grips on the fingers, and You know, they still have the palm pad one that you're talking about, and it's just gotten a little bit more. Technology has really just taken over.
Now, I saw today, the league was just finishing up when I got here, and I saw people with the hand carts and the wheels on them, and they hold like 3 balls, and they look like, I mean, custom designed cases. I guess the whole thing has really changed, hasn't it?
Everything has really changed. Just you know, it's not that old leather bag with the fold up. You got the single bags up here, you know, and triple rollers, and everything's gotten really advanced.
Yeah, I still got the old bag. In fact, I've got one that my dad used in the 1950s and 60s. Still has the 2 shoes collapsed in on the leather around the ball, and an old towel where he used to dry his hand all the time. But
exactly.
that's what he used.
Yeah, everything has changed. There's a separate compartment for shoes now, separate compartment for towels. It's just.
All right. Well, we're going to look around. We're going to certainly talk about balls. We're going to start bowling again, too. So, Ed, thank you for your help. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we're at Victor Bowl, and we're going to have a little bit more to this show as we get ready for some league action, and we're going to talk more with people here simply because you ought to know. Stay with us, everybody. I wonder if I can do a 300 today. Welcome back, everybody. Jim Hall, you ought to know. And Ed, I thought we were getting out of the pro shop, but there's some things I need to know, and you were pointing out a couple things here. And this is hot item, at least to me, the way I see it today. This changed. And when did all this come about, by the way?
This came about 7 to 8 years ago. Dexter decided that with the way the bowling centers have changed with going from wood approaches to synthetic approaches, that people have different problems with their slide foot. And they decided to design a Velcro in replaceable heels and soles on their shoes.
All right, so what do we got here? This is the typical type bowling shoe, and bowling shoes come in all shapes and sizes and colors and different things. How many shoes come with this sort of setup where you actually have the Velcro?
There's about 6 different styles of shoes. Some only the soles interchange, some of them, both of them change.
The heel and the sole.
The heel and the sole.
So this one, both of these actually come off of here?
Yes.
Show me that.
Yes.
All right, that's the heel off. Now I'm going to assume, you mentioned they changed this for the slide. So the heel, are we talking about different size heels, thicknesses, or whatever?
No, they're just different, actually just different styles. It's the heel is more or less for your braking on the lane when you stop. Some people like to slide a little bit more, and some people just like to come to a sudden stop.
When would I change this then? If I were going from one center to another center, or maybe I'm doing something different? How do I know when I want to change the sole on here for a little more slide or a little less?
What they do is if you need more slide, there's number systems on the heels and soles. The higher the number, the more the slide. The lower the number, the less the slide.
So if I was out on lane 30 this afternoon, or I was on lane 2, they may have a different, for me, it may feel a little different, so I may want to make the change. Is that what I'm assuming?
Most of the time in one center, the approaches normally are pretty much all the same. But it's when you go from house to house, like a lot of times the leagues here, they bowl here and then they go to Vegas to bowl their sweepers. Well, the approaches in Vegas might be different. Or a lot of the tournament conditions, the approaches are different.
I may bowl here in the league and head for the sweeper up in Vegas and find, whoa, there's a little bit too much slide for me. I want to back that down a little bit. I have the capability to do that by using this type of system.
Yes, you do.
Well, you've got these here. Now, this is an oversized, which means you actually size it and cut it and trim it to fit your shoe.
Correct. Correct.
What about the heel? What's the variables there? You mentioned it, the braking system, if you will. This is kind of the accelerator to me, but what's the variable here then? This is a 5, so if I went down to a 2 or a 3?
A 2, you're going to come to a pretty quick stop. 7 is the highest on the heel, and on the slide sole, a 10 is the highest. Okay. And on both of them, a 2 and a 2 is the lowest on the slide and the heel.
What are we talking about for a system like this now? People want to get into this type of a shoe and set up ready to go. Probably a couple different variables in soles.
Yeah, this is more for the advanced bowlers. But there's 6 or 7 different styles, and the price range is right around from $100 to $140, and that'll get you going.
I didn't ask you about the balls, though, when we were talking about if I picked out a ball. Depends on what I pick, of course. I know that answer right off the top. But a mid-range ball, what are we talking about price-wise today?
Right about $134, and that includes the drilling.
Okay, so that you set it up, and I'm pretty much ready to go at that type of price.
Correct.
What's the top of the line ball?
Top of the line ball would probably be about $199, and that includes the drilling. Inserts are a little additional cost.
Now, finger inserts are for what purpose? What does that do?
For fingertip, that actually creates the ball to hook out on the lane.
Okay, so you're drilling it a little bit more shallow, and I've got the inserts in for the grip then on the fingertips?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Now, you've even got some novelty type things. I looked at that one. Actually, I need the blue. My grandson's here, opened the show with us today. He's out here somewhere. I'm sure he's bowling by now, 7 months old. Baby's first ball, but really they don't bowl with this. This is more for the desk, if I wanted to display that with his name, weight, and all that. But you have other types of things, too.
Yeah, they make them into like awards for 300 games, 800 series. Harley Davidson guys with the bikes like to have their...
Okay. Well, everybody has their own little niche. You even have the Disney ones. We saw some of those. And then when you talk about picking out the right ball, where would you steer me initially? By what I want design-wise, color-wise, what I like to see out on the lane, or how would you tell me what to pick?
Really what we'd start with is ask how serious you want to get into the game. You know, do you just want to just open play occasional, or do you want to get into leagues and stuff like that? And we'd start with that. And if you wanted to do leagues, we'd probably go into the entry-level resin balls or the mid-range ones. And if you're just an occasional bowler, and budgeting would be the plastic balls and the polyester ones.
All right. Ed, again, pleasure. Thank you for that. Thank you for the lesson on this. I would never have known about the removable soles and the braking system and all that in bowling, but it certainly has come along. Don't go anywhere, everybody. We're going to be right back. We're going to wrap up this show here at Victor Bowl in Victorville simply because you ought to know. Stay with us. Darn, I missed it, Caden. Hey, everybody, that's going to put a wrap on this show. Trying to get the toy out of the machine here at Victor Bowl. That's where we are. Caden's with me, grandson, 7 months old, and we learned a little bit about bowling right here at Victor Bowl, a little bit about how the technology has changed. You saw the shoes, how to pick the ball. We've met with Peggy, 23 years here at Victor Bowl, and if you want more information, go to victorbowl.com. We'll see you next time, everybody, simply because you ought to know. You ready to go bowling?